Welcome students. So far we have discussed about the tillage, which is preparation of the soil for seeding. Now the next operation which we are talking of is the seeding of the seeds into the field, the prepared field, which you have done through the different implements which you have seen, and we have discussed the various aspects of the design, aspects of the parameters to be considered for the different equipment and things like that. Now when we are coming to the fertilizer seed cum fertilizer devices or equipment, let us have a look at the various aspects. So today's lecture talks of the types of fertilizer metering, furrow opening and soil covering devices. If you see the if you go to the now I recall, I am sure you may recall the seed drill which I had shown in earlier of my classes, that this has the various components. For example, when you have a seed drill, you should have a hopper in which the seed will be kept. If it is only seed cum fertilizer drill, then there will be hopper for the fertilizer also. So you have a seed hopper. So there is a seed hopper here, there is a seed hopper here. Then in the seed hopper, then we have the seeds which are kept inside this, and after the seed hopper, then we are talking of the metering device. We have discussed the different types of metering devices already, but then we will look into the other portions. So metering unit. So there is a metering unit is over here. Then after the metering unit, that means seed which comes from the hopper through the metering device, it will go through these tubes and then it will come into the furrow. Now how it will get the furrow itself, how it will get the location in the furrow. So furrow has to be created. So if you see these different elements, there is a boot here, then there is a ground wheel here, then the power transmission system. The power transmission system, because we are taking power from the ground wheel, so you must know how the metering mechanism will work. So and the furrow tines. Now the furrow, how the furrow will be opened, in which the seed which will be metered from the seed hopper to this place will fall. So you need to have the furrow tines or the different types of tines that we will talk of. Then the furrow openers. Now tines and the openers, actually it will more or less the same thing, because you are trying to open the furrow. Then furrow tube, actually these are the tubes through which the liquid the seed will go and ultimately reach the place. So the various components are given here, and let us look at these components and their corresponding material of construction, which is very important from the designer's point of view, from an engineer's point of view. You must have an idea as to what is the different material of construction of a particular component. Say for example, the frame which is the main frame of the whole unit. So it need not be a very hardened one, but mild steel can be used for this. The wheel is made of mild steel. It could be a cast iron wheel also, weight will increase. It could be a pneumatic wheel, depending upon the condition in which we want to use it for the seed drill. This will be axle here. Axle and shaft, mild steel. Well, many times when we talk, you might have seen that when we talk of actually the shaft material on which a lot of load goes, those are made of forged steel. But here this shaft is very less or light load carrying metering shaft, so it could be made of mild steel. Seed and fertilizer box. The seed and fertilizer box is also mild steel or galvanized steel sheet, or sometimes plastic for lighting, for such that it is a lighter material and also corrosion will not take place. So from that point of view, it could be this. Tines, the tines are made because these tines are actually meeting with the soil. So you should have some idea about these, and these tines either mild steel or carbon steel, because you need to harden them. Then boot, mild steel or cast iron. Furrow opener, high carbon steel. Similarly, the covering devices, where the purpose of the covering devices is to cover after you have seeded, it must be covered, otherwise the birds etc. will take away. So, you would like that they should be covered. So, for the covering devices could be various types, we will discuss. Then the material for this could be a cast iron, mild steel, yes, these are general materials. Then seed metering mechanism. The seed metering mechanism, actually as I told that the seed metering mechanism is that we are taking power from the ground wheel. So, how the power will go? Generally we do not use belts, we use chain and sprocket, because they are fixed distances and it is easy, the slippage etc. will be less, which happens in case of the belts etc. So, we have chain and sprocket. Most of the time you will find chain and sprocket, short distances, and you can maintain good ratio between the sprockets. So, see, this is the one which is made. This could be made of mild steel, aluminum, brass, cast iron or rubber. Yes, seed metering mechanisms could comprise of different materials like this. So, with these, that means this is the seed drill, you know, and now the components we have seen. So, what are the different furrow opening devices, then the covering devices etc. we will go one by one and have a look at the locations where they are used, the material of construction of them, and any uniqueness of particular type. We will have a look at those in the subsequent slides. Let us have a look at those. Fertilizer metering devices. I said about seed, and I said that if there is a seed cum fertilizer, there will be another hopper for the seed fertilizer also. So, we are now talking of fertilizer metering devices. What are the different types of fertilizer metering devices? See, because fertilizer is a hygroscopic material and it is there in the hopper. So, we need to have some sort of a stirring always, otherwise it will become clogged and then it will not fall. So, the most common type of devices, metering devices are, say opening with agitator disc, adjustable opening with agitator disc, then adjustable orifice covered with the spur wheels. Yes, this is another thing, because simple orifice which can be changed depending upon the amount or depending upon the size of the granules of the fertilizer that you want, you can change. The vertical rotor with grooves, yes, vertical, this is another one which is vertical rotor with grooves, and the star wheel type. You can have revolving bottom plate, and auger type. You must have seen auger, like you see the augers when they are operating like this. So, shaft. So, on that the material could be transported through these, actually like this, and the revolving bottom type. So, here you can have a look at these, say star wheel type. This is the star wheel type. These are the stars. You can see that these sides which look like a star. So, star wheel type, it is a wheel which is there. Then vertical rotor with grooves. Yes, this is a vertical rotor. These are the two in which there are grooves made here, and this fertilizer goes inside this, because these are operating, or they are rotating in the fertilizer box itself. So, the grooves will take this and then it will fall. Similarly, then adjustable opening with agitator. The adjustable opening, here this is the agitator. As I said earlier that you need to agitate. So, this is an agitator, this portion is an agitator, and their groups are made, selected metering holes. There are different types of metering holes which could be selected. It could be, this plate could be changed also sometimes if you want, and sometimes you will also find that some of the granular particularly fertilizer just like urea or so, you can also use a fluter roller type. Although generally the fluter roller generally we use for our seeds, but you can use this also, and it has been used. Fertilizer application methods. Well, when we are talking of the metering, we should also know the methods. What are the methods which are actually in vogue? One method which I said long back, that either seed or fertilizer you can simply broadcast and throw away. So, that is one is broadcasting. The top dressing, actually method of application of fertilizer in the standing crop. this top dressing you would like to do. Mainly nitrogen fertilizer is applied in this method. In fact, we know that NPK are the 3 fertilizers which we utilize, and generally we see that nitrogen is the one which is given in different doses, and P and K are fixed right in the beginning itself, because they have their different purposes which you might have learned in agronomic classes. And the band placement, well, band placement is one where we are particularly talking with respect to the seed cum fertilizer drills, where the seed will be there and where the fertilizer will be there. That is very important. So, the band placement is very important. Fertilizer is placed in bands on one side or on both sides of the row, about 50 millimeter away from the seed or plant in any direction. This is very important. You must have a look at this and must understand band placement. Otherwise, the effect of this will not be on the seed, and many times the seed gets buried and does not come out and does not get the effect of the fertilizer. Then side dressing, yes, this is another aspect. Fertilizer is applied alongside of the row crop or around the plant and mixed into the soil with a spade. Yes, that is the, sometimes these we do for orchard crops, sometimes vegetable, you might have seen vegetable growers do like this around the plant when they want to give the fertilizer. Particularly these are done for very small fields and plants. Pellet application, yes, this is another thing which in fact which is also done for seeds. Sometimes for effective utilization and better germination of the seeds also pelleting is done, which is generally about 19 millimeter to millimeter in length and 6 millimeter in diameter. Those are the sizes of pellets which are made. Now, the small pellets which are made by mixing nitrogen fertilizer, especially when urea with soil, and they are applied at 25 to 50 millimeter depth, between the rows of the rice crop. So, 25 to 50 millimeter depth. So, it depends on this pellet where you want to give, because the pellet must go to a right place. It must get a right environment, so that the pelletary material which is covered with the either the fertilizer or the seed will simply dissolve, and then the fertilizer will come into action, and it will have better efficiency, better effect of that. Furrow opening devices, well, we talked of the fertilizers, we talked of the methods of fertilizer, we talked of the devices which are used. Now, let us look at the furrow opening devices. These are very important, because once you know a particular crop, that this is the crop to be grown, whether it is a cereal crop or a pulse crop or a vegetable crop, whatever, you must have an idea as to what type of furrow is required, and for that what type of the furrow opening element will be suitable. So, this is very important from an engineer's point of view to have a look at that. So, let us see furrow openers. This aim is to open the tilled soil, because already you know that the seed bed is prepared already, and then you have to only sow the seeds. So, when you have to sow the seeds or put the fertilizers side by side as we discussed, then you would simply need to open a slit there depending upon the situation. So, the tilled soil which is there, it will open and provide a uniform depth for good germination of seed. The idea is that it provides uniform depth of good germination of seed, because the environment has to be a good environment to be provided to the seed when it is placed inside the soil. Furrow openers should form a neat groove in the moist soil zone without minimum soil disturbance. Yes, minimum soil disturbance in the sense that it needs only to be placed at a location. There is no need of unnecessary disturbing this soil, majority of the portion of the soil, because then you will have either job of covering that. We will come to that later. Selection of furrow openers depends on, then this selection depends on what? It will depend on the depth of plantation, soil moisture content and soil condition. it will definitely, you have to, even I would say that it also depends on what is the crop that you have taken and where should be its actual placement. So, accordingly you will decide the furrow openers. We have a couple of furrow openers here, we have shown here. See, runner type furrow opener, you can see here runner type furrow opener, this is the one which is here, and this opens a very clean cut. So, that this is generally used in a pneumatic seed drill. Then a shoe type furrow opener, you can see the shoe here, shoe type, this is shoe type of furrow opener. Then a shovel type, well, this is another one which is a shovel type. I will discuss more of this shovel type. Yeah, you can see that there is a shovel here, there is also a shovel here. So, it is in fact a double shovel type of furrow opener. It is just given in order to have an idea about what are the furrow opening devices, what are their jobs, and what are the basis on which they are actually decided. So, we have given something to connect. Now, we will go to the details of those. Shovel type furrow openers. Well, shovel type furrow openers, as I said earlier, see, this is the shovel type of furrow opener. It is a double point shovel. Double point shovel, the beauty is that, well, if this shovel, this portion is actually worn out, you can just turn and then you have this portion. And generally this angle, include angle, is between 40 to 45 plus minus 5 degree is the angle which is maintained for this shovel. And well, you can see that this is when it is connected to the seed drill, actually with the component, it looks something like this. Sometimes it is also a single point shovel, sometimes single point shovel, and in fact shovel openers are best suited for deep placement of seeds relative to the feed free of trash. Well, this is important, these are very good for generally for deep placement of this, and such shovels are generally about 100 to 250 millimeter length. These are the length of this 100 to 150 millimeter length. Reversible shovel type, single shovel type, and spear point shovel type. There are main three types of this shovel types are available, which you will encounter, and you may design depending upon the amount you want to cut inside the soil. If you do not want to disturb much of the soil, then you may have to take a spear point shovel, which will serve your purpose. This is a double point shovel, same thing shown here. Well, another view of you where you can see here that there are three locations where it can be fitted. Hoe type furrow openers, you must have heard of these hoe type furrow openers. The purpose of this is this type of opener lifts and pushes the topsoil towards the sides and forms a V-shaped groove. This is the beauty of the hoe type of furrow opener, that it pushes the topsoil towards the sides and forms a V-shaped groove. Such furrow openers are best suited for stony and root infested soils. Actually, lot of roots etc. are there already for those, and the ground is also not very good, or you can say filled up with a lot of stones etc. Possibility of stones etc. are there. Then in that case, I think hoe type furrow openers, there are two views which are shown here, are the ones which are generally used. This is how it looks. In fact, these are the two locations where you will have the seed or the fertilizer tubes which will enter into this or this, and their location here which is connected to the frame of the machine equipment. Shoe type furrow opener. Now, we had seen a hoe type furrow opener. HOE is hoe, and when you put SHOE is shoe type furrow opener. Well, what are the different shoe type furrow openers? This type of shoe type furrow opener So, type of furrow openers works well in trashy soil conditions, very important. See, whenever we are talking of the placement and use of this or selection of these furrow openers, you have to be very careful as a designer. Then which one you are choosing, under what condition, what is the condition of the soil, whether the soil is well prepared or the soil is just harvested, crop is harvested, and then you are talking of cutting the just leaving the cut harvested small trashes, and on that you want to seed, what you want to do. So, you need to look into this. So, such shoe type of furrow openers work well in trashy soil conditions, where a lot of trashes etc. are there. Makes a narrow groove in the soil, it makes a narrow groove. Yeah, you can see that the condition of this makes a narrow groove. You see here it looks very nice in the photograph here. So, it makes a narrow groove very so that it does not disturb the trusses etc., they remain there, but it makes the groove for the seed to fall over there. Or if you want if there is a fertilizer also connected there, then maybe side, depending upon whether you want a band placement or you want side placement or whatever you want, you can have this. So, this the beauty of the design here is that it makes a narrow groove in the soil. Well, it is specially suited for black cotton soil. Well, we know that black cotton soil because they are very bigger cracks etc., and then they are very hard. So, under those soil conditions such shoe type of furrow openers, which will go slightly deep and then cut the slit and serve our purpose. These are, because they require to be hard enough, they are made of carbon steel. Yes, it is very important. Shoes are made of carbon steel having minimum carbon content of 0.5%. See, this is important because under the black cotton soils, where the requirement is the requirement of strength is very important. So, from that point of view, I think this hardening of the material is essential, and that is why at this 0.5% carbon must be used, and the thickness and with the minimum thickness of these to be about 4 millimeter of this material which is there to make the shoe type furrow openers. So, better for trashy soil conditions, for black cotton soils, and since these are good, they must be for high carbon steel or at least 0.5% carbon steel material must be used for the shoe type furrow opener. Okay. Inverted T type furrow opener. Well, the name itself says that inverted T. So, you must have seen how T looks like. So, a T is this is a T. Now, when you are talking of inverted T, you see the condition here, that we have virtually, this is the condition of the thing over here. If you see this shape here, this is the inverted T. So, that the idea is you will remember these, and maybe the designers have thought of in this line and hence given inverted T type furrow opener. Direct sowing of seeds under upland conditions. Well, sometimes under dryland conditions, when we are talking of not much of moisture content in those locations, there these are good for direct sowing of seeds under upland conditions, and furrow openers makes a narrow slit. This furrow opener makes a narrow slit with minimum soil disturbance. It is similar like shoe type of furrow opener, where it makes a narrow cut in trashy soil conditions. This is not in trashy soil conditions, it should have a proper soil condition, upland soil condition, not lowland condition, that means not lot of moisture condition, but definitely convenient and congenial at moisture condition of the soil. Then these are good for good to be used for direct sowing of seeds. So, direct you cut a narrow slit and then put it there without excessive disturbance of the soils. It is written here minimum soil disturbance. and these are generally used for zero till drill. See, such type of furrow openers are mostly used in zero till drill. Actually, you must have seen that about 15-20 years back, this particular zero till drill made a havoc, because one of the best soil conservation methods, equipment which can be used under conservation agriculture. So there you need not use or cut the soil too much, or you need not prepare the soil so much. Immediately after harvesting, if there is sufficient moisture is there, you can utilize that moisture and just use this seed drill, just zero till drill. The name itself says, you see, the name itself says the zero till. That means your tilling is simply zero, simply opening of the rows or you can slits in which the seed can be there, and such openers. So, inverted T type furrow openers, you can see a photograph I have shown. This T type openers are used in zero till drills. So, there is a need to understand that where these furrow opening will be utilized or used. It is very essential. Well, disc type furrow openers, this is another aspect, because many a times you would like that cutting should be deeper in some conditions of soil. Trusses are there and you want to cut those trusses. So, this type of furrow openers are used. This type of furrow openers are used. These furrow openers suitable for truss conditions and relatively hard ground. Well, this could be a single disc opener, could be a double disc opener, and it has been found that double disc openers are well adapted to medium or shallow seeding of row crops. Well, you can see that one we have shown here, a double type of furrow opener and a single disc furrow opener, where single disc is more effective than double disc with regard to penetration and cutting of the trusses. This is to be understood. These furrow openers, these will be like this, and then they will cut here. So, truss cutting will be minimum here, but in case of the first one, you see that when it moves, it rotates, it has sharpening on the edges, and then it will cut the trusses. So, that way you go, penetration will be better and trusses will be better cut in this case than in this case. But you can see that for medium or shallow seeding, then these double ones are most suited. Runner type furrow openers. Well, runner type I have shown you already that this is used on pneumatic seed drills. You can the shaped furrow, sword shaped furrow, just like you see, you can see that this is a sword virtually. So, furrow with a sharp edge cuts a neat furrow in the soil with minimum soil disturbance. This is what it does. These are generally used in, generally we have shown in the such devices being used in pneumatic seeders. Work well in clean seed bed for shallow seeding. Yes, because we do not want this the seeds to go very deep. So, for shallow seeding, these are used in the sword type of shape as it has. You can see here also. Soil covering devices, another important function of this is soil covering. See, once you have put the soil, the seeds onto seeds in the soil condition, at environmental condition or the congenial atmosphere in which the seed has been placed, and now it must be properly covered. So, for covering there are various types of devices. The aim is that it must be covered to an extent that while it grows, or there will be mechanical impedance which we call as resistance, soil resistance for the emergence of the seed. So, and that value is about 34 to 69 kilopascal of the soil compaction that need to do with all the different types of devices. We will have a look at these devices. Well, these are the different devices, very simple and very easy to understand here. You see the drag chain type is here, then drag bar type. Well, drag chain type, I am sorry, this is one drag chain type, this is drag bar type. drag bar types is this, drag chain, because this is a chain here and this chain is covering. Similarly, double disc types, okay, double disc types are also once we can double disc type which covers the already seeded area, and these are in the seeded lot of trusses etc. are there, but still it will cover properly. Now, still press wheel, these are wheels which are used in small vegetable planters and where you want them to be pressed and generally these are put on both sides, in the front as well as at the back of the hopper, in which in the row itself. You will see this in when we show you in the field conditions, you will see this for yourself. Then zero pneumatic, this is the zero pneumatic press wheel. Here the covering here in fact this portion is actually rubber or plastic, so that it does not have any pressure on that, it is lighter as compared to the other one. So, that is why we require zero type. And well, a scraper, this is the one which is there, scraper blade type, it scraps, in fact it will simply scrap the material and the soils and then cover this. So, these are the different covering devices which are there, each has its own advantage and disadvantage, but as an engineer you must have a look at the condition of the soil and the condition and type of the crop in which you are doing. So, steel press type, zero pneumatic and single or double covering type. So, these are the devices which are generally used in all of this. You may think of a new device also where it could be lighter, still it could be doing the job of pressing as well as covering. So, you may think of that as a designer. Thank you.